Okay, relax. Don't worry. It's all live.
Yeah, I'm on Clubhouse all the time
Okay, we are
and doing
live.
Q&A, so it's totally
Yeah,
okay. It's okay.
we are live now,
It's,
Anneli. So we are live now. Okay.
hello.
So for those who are watching and for those who joined us, so actually, Anneli, we are live on 3 platforms. We are live on LinkedIn. We are live on YouTube. That's where I store the videos.
Okay.
And we are also live in like a Asia Business Facebook group. So for those who are live, please say hi. So how can you say hi? So please comment live in the comments below, and we'd love to know who is watching this, who is with us. So if you're live with us right now, I understand there can be a bit of a delay, but if you're live with us, please comment live below.
Oh, this is so much fun to see where people are from.
Yeah. So today we have the amazing Anneli Hansson with us. So Anneli Hansson is a brand strategist, educator, and coach. So she has 20 years experience working with brands such as Coca-Cola, Polaroid, and also Levis. And she has worked with startups and also the food and food tech industry. And she's from Sweden. And also how I know Anneli is she is the ambassador as well for the Futur Pro group. So welcome to the live, Anneli.
Thank you so much. I'm super happy to be here.
Hey, anything else you would like to share with our audience about yourself?
Yeah, I've been in this industry for many years, like 20 years or something like that. Been working in different agencies, like advertising agencies, PR agencies, and also run 2 agencies on my own, branding agencies. So, and then I've been on the client side for 5 years, maybe also as a chief brand officer and a chief marketing officer. So I kind of have both worlds, and I also have the design strategy and the marketing strategy. So I'm kind of a hybrid of everything. So that would be me. And I'm living outside Stockholm, Sweden.
Nice. Yeah. And you have a very nice house, Anneli. So it's very Swedish.
Really?
And
Okay.
yeah, very good experience. So you have both design and also the client side experience, which is great. And so let us say hi to some of our audience. So we already have some people here joining us live. We have someone from Canada, Michael Liberty from Canada. It must be super early in the morning for you. So you know Mike. We have some people here from Asia. So some people from Malaysia. Venus Kanaraj is from Malaysia. We have Arjit Das as well from Kuala Lumpur. So if you're watching this live, I highly encourage you to comment live and say hi to me and also Anneli. So if you're watching this live, please say hi to us. How you can do that is to comment live below, and would love to also say hi to you.
Yeah.
So without further ado, so let me get to the meat of the question, Anneli. So the first question that we are going to answer and also to educate our audience is the question, what is brand strategy?
Yeah, what is brand strategy? You know what? I like to explain it in a very simple way, because sometimes I feel like when we talk about things like brand strategy, that is just a lot of buzzwords and people are just like, oh, I get it. But then I realized that not so many do. And when I'm in client meetings with could be CEOs, and sometimes they pretend they know, and then you realize they don't. So I kind of like to divide it in 2 different parts. Like first we need to understand what a brand is. And there's a lot of different definition of that. Martin Neumeyer, for example, say it's people's gut feeling, and a lot of people refer to that. I often, and I prefer to say it's a brand is what people think, feel, and believe about a product or a company. So what they think and what they feel in their hearts and what they believe to be true. And that's their perception. That's the brand. So that's the first part of it. So then when we know what a brand is, we can just figure out what a strategy is. And a strategy is the long-term plan, how you go from A to B. That is a strategy. How to do it. So sometimes people confuse a little bit just talking about the brand like a soul and, the purpose or personality, but it's actually also the plan how to go from A to B. So if you like combine those two, then what you do is that you help a company develop the brand from where it is today to where it's want to be. And to be able to do that, you need to be able to know who you talk to and how they perceive the brand today. And then you will have a gap. And our job is to bridge the gap. So that's the most simple way I can explain it, that we're kind of a guide helping people how to bridge the gap.
Nice. I really love that, Anneli. So it's very simple. So first we need to know what is a brand, and it's the perception of the business or the product. And secondly is, as a brand strategist, you are the guide. So I like the word the guide.
Yeah.
And as a guide, what happens is you guide the businesses from where they are now to where they want to be.
Yeah.
So that's very interesting to me. So mind you, if I ask a question on that, is what are some of the questions that you ask the brand or the owner of the brand or the owner of the business on how do they define where they want to be?
That's a good question. I think everything starts with a purpose, like why you exist. Why do you even have the company from the first place? That's where it starts. And with a vision, like what's your North Star? Where are you heading? Like what's your ultimate goal? Probably you will never reach it because the vision is kind of, you want to aim to the stars, right? So that's the vision. And the mission is kind of more how you're going to get there. And I think when you know that, then you can break it down to goals, long-term goals and short-term goals. And when it's about the brand, so that's where it starts. And then you need to know things about like who the brand is, like I humanize a brand. I call it like I humanize a brand because a brand needs personality. Sometimes we call it brand attributes. Other people call it brand personality. And then you just need to know who they want to reach out to, who they talk to. So, and when you know all this, you will actually find out that gap. And when you know the gap, it's easier to set the goals. So everything is about asking questions from, what is the company? What are you doing? Like, who do you reach out to today? Who is your customers today? Who do you want to reach out to? To two more existential questions like, why do you really exist? And then really go deep into like, who you are, because I really truly believe that a brand needs to be built from the inside and out. So you need to know who you are before you can attract the people you want to attract. So I just ask a lot of questions around this, and I do it in a specific order. And a lot of questions starts with what or how, and then often why when we go a little bit deeper. So that's maybe the most easy way to explain it. But I do have a process how I do it. And that's a process I've been following for many years and tried a little bit different ways of doing it and, adjust after I get more and more experience. So that's the way I do it. So the question is, it's very difficult to say exactly what kind of questions you ask. It depends on the company. If they're just started, if it's a startup, or if it's a company maybe like been in generations. So it's a little bit different, but you always start with the purpose, vision, mission. So that's the questions around that. And then you go into the personality and then to who you talk to. So it's kind of in that order. Otherwise, you don't even know how to position the brand.
That's great, Anneli, and I learned so much from that. So it's defining who you are, your vision, mission, and then only you can define the how. So that's amazing. It sounds a lot like what I experience when I see a therapist. Sorry.
Yeah.
Sorry to say it. Yeah.
You can call it brand therapy. Yeah, it is kind of brand therapy. And I would say not to like tell you too much about my clients, But I had a lot of clients starting to cry when they do it, especially when they own the company themselves. Because when you go really deep and you talk about the purpose and why the company exists and what change you want to make in the world, because everything is about connecting with people, with your people. And when you start talking about this, it could be kind of emotional for some people because they have this drive why they have their company that is beyond money. So when you go deeper in that, I become the brand therapist.
That's great. I feel like I'm in a therapy session right now. I'm asking myself existential questions
Yeah.
and questions why I'm here, why I want to do what I do. So that's all great and amazing sharing, Anneli. So I just want to say hi to some of the other people who have just joined us. So we have Ragavan, who runs an engineering company, who also recently just started his company. So I think it will be great for him to be part of this as well. So he works with a lot of people in Germany, and he is based in Malaysia. And we have Khairul as well, who is based in Malaysia. So thanks all for joining us. And if you are here, I would like to get some participation from you as well. If you're here, please say hi. And we would like to say hi to you as well. So next question, because we have people like Ragavan here with us, Anneli, is some people are startups. So would like to know if it's important for a startup to look into brand strategy. So my question would be is when should a business like Ragavan's business, right? He just started not long ago.
Yeah.
When should businesses start looking into brand strategy?
I would say before they even start or as soon as possible. I mean, the brand it's kind of the foundation for everything. And I think it's so important if you see the company as a brand, because you can have a corporate brand and you can have product brands. But if you see the company as a brand, that's kind of the foundation, for everything. It's the blueprint. If you're going to build a house, you need to have an architect. You need to have a blueprint to follow. So the brand strategy is that. So it's kind of the lighthouse, you need some guidance, where you need to go. So, because this is the foundation for everything, when you know your vision and mission, which is kind of something a lot of companies actually, they need to know that. Otherwise, you don't even know where you're heading. Like you need to have something to lean into when you take all your business decisions. So the vision and the mission is very important to have from the beginning. And then you really need to know who you are and what you stand for, not just how you look, because people are like, oh, I need a logo. Yeah, that's a small part of it. But the brand identity is so much bigger than just the visual part. So you need to know who you are. And then you need to know who you talk to. Because if you have a big market, like you will talk to everyone and no one will notice you. So I would say right away, you need to know it right away. Otherwise, you don't know how to position your brand.
That's very good advice. It's like I hate to say this, but it's like therapy. You need it no matter what stage you are to define yourselves and to know where you want to go. Because if you don't know who you are and where you want to go, it's very hard to only focus on the actions that you want to take or the growth that you want to make. So you might be taking the wrong path.
And you know what? One thing that people often, a big mistake people often do, is that they have way too wide target group to talk to. So it's something called niching. Maybe you know that expression, to niche. And that means you kind of choose a market segment for yourself. And what you want to do is to choose the minimal viable audience. And that's a really small group of people. And this comes from Seth Godin's book, This is Marketing. If you haven't read that, it's a good tip. And so you can start there and find this small group of people, because then you can actually start doing research on them And when you do research, you just want to understand their needs and wants and pain points and everything you can get to know, so you can connect to them and help them solve their problems. So you have to have a small group of people, because then you can get known really fast. And we call that brand awareness. And you want to create brand awareness. But if you talk to too many people, it would take too long. So that's why it's so important. It's like getting known is very important when you build a brand.
That's so good, because it brings me back. I actually studied marketing in university, and brings me back to the foundations, things like brand awareness, and it's finding that minimum viable audience, that who you want to reach out to.
Yeah, and we call it marketing segmentation in marketing. In marketing strategy, we call it marketing segmentation. And my background is in marketing strategy, and a lot of people think I'm a graphic designer, but I'm not. So I would say, like, marketing strategy is a very, very big part of brand strategy.
That's amazing. Now I think back, I'm such a bad student, because I can't remember all this marketing strategy and the 4 Ps and the stuff that I read from Philip Kotler. It brings back a lot of memories on really the fundamentals of understanding a brand.
Yes.
So thanks, Anneli. And we have some feedback from the audience. So we have Arjit Das, who joined us. He said, that's true. At times it's beyond money. At times the purpose is beyond money, I believe is what he said when we had this conversation. And we have another person from Kuala Lumpur, who is Rizal Aziz, who is the CEO of 3 companies. And he works with music, he works with creative, social media, and a lot of things that he does. So hi Rizal as well. And so we have a number of people joining us. So I would really love to know who are you? So I want to encourage you to participate. So for those who are joining us, please comment below. What are your favorite brands? What are the brands that you really love? We'd love to know who you are. So help me by doing this. Please comment some of your favorite brands below. It can be Nike, can be McDonald's, can be Adidas or IKEA or anything. So comment what are your favorite brands below. So a simple question to you, Anneli. You've been working for 20 years. So you might have a lot of answers to this. But what's your favorite brand? Because from what you described to me, it's very human. It's very intuitive. But what is a brand out there that we know that has some of these characteristics?
One of my favorite, I have a few, but one of my favorite is Patagonia. Do you know them?
I heard, but I'm not sure what it is.
Okay, they do clothes and shoes and everything, but because I love them is that they're so grounded in, like, their purpose and the mission why they exist, and that's so beyond clothes and hiking and everything they do. And it's like, it's about sustainability and environmental sustainability, and all the products, clothes, and things they do are from, like, eco-friendly material. So the sustainability is, like, really the foundation for everything they do. And I love that because, I have an expression called, like, I don't put lipstick on a pig. And what I mean by that is I don't like helping companies and brands who do bad things to look good. Like, I just don't do it. I want to work with companies, and I'm from Sweden, so I'm kind of spoiled when it comes to sustainability, because for us it's really important. So what I do is I work with companies that already have a brand that takes stand and to really, like, focus on sustainability, or I help them to get there. So that's really important for me. That's why I love Patagonia. I also love Oatly. Oatly is a Swedish brand who's now going international, and we just had an interview a couple of months ago. I think Christo and I met with the creative director of Oatly, Heidi, for a call on Clubhouse. And Oatly is such a great brand, and they have, it's not milk, but it's like oat milk. And why that is important is because we need to have less meat, because that is one of the most challenging thing with sustainability. And Oatly is not milk, it's from oat. And they cannot change and challenge the whole industry when it comes to drinking milk. And I love them, and I love their communication. So that's maybe, I don't want to say Apple because everyone else is saying that. So Patagonia and and Oatly is my favorites.
Yeah, I love Oatly as well. I've drank Oatly, Anneli,
Really?
and one yeah. I think 1 hour before talking to you, I have one of my favorite Malaysian coffee brands.
Oh,
So it's a brand called Zaz Coffee, and it's
okay.
quite similar mission with Oatly, where
Mhm.
they have something called zero coffee, which means
Oh.
coffee with no lactose. So that's the coffee
Mhm.
they only serve is there's no milk, only affordable non-lactose coffee, which in
Yeah.
Starbucks is more expensive, but for them they make
Mhm.
it affordable. So I love them. I
Yeah.
order them almost every day. So that's what I love as well. And recently, I've grown up, and when someone asks me what's your dream car, I always say Tesla, because now it's cool and now it's also sustainable as well. So things have changed, and we love different things now. And
Yeah,
we
and
have some of audience sharing their.
yeah, I'm
Yeah,
so
you're saying,
curious about
Anneli?
to hear. I'm so curious about hear them. I could
Yeah.
add, because I'm from Sweden, so I kind of need to add IKEA and Volvo as well.
Yes,
I like
IKEA.
them
Shout
too.
out to IKEA.
Yeah.
So we have we can't see her, but I think her profile is private. But this is from someone called Sinchi, and she is the head of marketing for one of the startups here in Malaysia called StoreHub
Oh, cool.
and BeatIt. So she actually leads the marketing team for a company that's in the region in multiple countries. So she says she loves Patagonia as well. So I'm not very familiar with Patagonia, but thanks for sharing, Sinchi. Thanks for being here as well. Kairu
Yeah.
says his favorite one is Sako Brothers. So let us know why as well.
Yeah.
And we have Rizal, who's very into racing, very into F1. Every week he watches F1, and he says his favorite brand is Puma because of Lewis Hamilton.
Okay.
And and Arjit Das, who is also from Malaysia, and he believes that H&M launched a sustainability program and installed a couple of systems that can help to get instant recycled clothes. Or interesting to that, they always collect recycled clothes, H&M. So it's very interesting. Thanks for sharing. H&M. Oh, they're also Swedish. I'm learning so many things now. I didn't know Oatly is from Sweden.
Sweden
is
a little small country, but we're super, super good at sustainability.
Super good at brands, from what I can see. Super good at creating international brands. And we so happen to have someone here who is from the country with the most brands that we know. So thanks for joining us. So thanks for sharing all of your favorite brands, and we'll move on to the next question. So thanks for all of you for sharing. So if you have any questions for Anneli as well, before I go to my next question. So since we have a brand expert from one of the most successful branding countries in the world, so please share with me any questions that you have in regards to any questions in regards to branding that you have. Put it in the comments below, and I would love to get Anneli to answer them for you. Okay, so we had the question, when should a business look into brand strategy? And my next question would be more on application, Anneli. So since I learned that branding is like a therapy session where you understand the purposes, you understand what the brand wants to stand for and what the brand wants to be. Can you share with me a story? You don't have to tell me the name of the client or the name of the company, it's fine. But can you share with me a story of transformation? A story of how you've seen, it might be yourself, of how a brand transform once they go through brand therapy.
Yeah. It could be like a reposition. I would actually say one example is the company I worked for, and it's no secret. It's called Lantmännen. It's really difficult to pronounce if you're not from Sweden, like Lantmannen, I don't know. It's like it's the farmers in Sweden, and it's a global company. It's the biggest company in Northern Europe when it comes to food and agriculture, energy, machines. So it's owned by farmers, which I love. But when I started to work there, I think they had a challenge because everything is connected. The brand strategy is connected with how you actually communicate, not how you look and also what you say. And sometimes you can see like it's a little bit of a challenge how you position yourself and how people see you. And I felt really strong about this brand because I grew up with it. My uncle and aunt had a farm. And so I grew up at a farm, and, they were one of the owners. So, yeah, I think it was about 30,000 owners. So it's a big company, 15,000 employees. And I was head of the corporate brand. And the thing was that they had a challenge when it comes to what to focus on, because they had like 10 food brands under the corporate brand and an endorser strategy. And that's what that is that you use the corporate brand to stand for different things. And then you have your own brand attributes as a sub-brand like under. And when I started, they talked a lot about food. And I thought that was a little bit strange. So you had 3 things they talked about: food, sustainability, and farmers. And I questioned that because I felt like you couldn't even talk about the farmers, because people were like, the farmers felt people don't like us, they don't like us. We want to talk about food and sustainability. And I felt challenged by that because I was like, I love farmers. Farmers are responsible. They're responsible for giving us the food, right? It's one of the best things you can do. So I felt like I want to take back the pride to be a farmer. So that was a strategy to change it from talking about the food. So we started to talk about the farmers, the authentic story. And this comes back to the brand strategy. Like, why do we exist? Why is it important to take care of the environment from generation to generation? And how do we do that? The story of the farmer and his family and the generations. And we started to tell that story, how we take responsibility from field to fork from a farmer's perspective. And then we just added the products from, the food products to that communication. And that changed a lot. So every goal, every number, everything just went so much better for the company. So, and that is a little bit of just a repositioning, how you actually look at the strategy, and then you change the communication. So it's really on strategy, and it's positioned in a way that you have no competitors. And if you don't have any competitors, it's much more easier to win, right? So we just did a small adjustments after the strategy, and that made a lot of difference. And then we won most sustainable brand in Sweden 2 years. And that's where the customer, like a client, customers in Sweden, they vote for who is, in your opinion, the most sustainable brand in Sweden. And you heard all of them, H&M, IKEA, all of them. But the company I worked for, Lantmännen, we won that 2 times. So that's when you have a strategy, and then you make sure that everything you do in all touch points, all branding, all marketing is on the brand strategy, then you can get results like that. So that's a case that I've been working on myself for 4 years. Yeah, that's my
That's
favorite.
an amazing story, Anneli. I love that story. I'm so sorry. Can I make you say the brand name slowly so that I can find it after this?
Okay,
Or can you spell it out for us?
Yeah, LANTM, and then it's a Swedish letter, so I don't know how to say that, but it's an A with 2 dots over it.
Ah.
And then it's NNEN. So it's like Lant Mannen. I don't know how to pronounce that in
But
English.
that's such an amazing story. A great story
Yeah,
about positioning, and it's like the brand found its meaning to
yeah,
function. And I think not only does it shape communication, but it helps with recruitment, it helps
yeah,
with the operations of the brand. Now they have something to believe in. So
yeah. And
it's a
also the
very good story,
farmers,
Emily.
the farmers themselves, they can be proud to be farmers because people really appreciate them. And I think that was one of the most important thing, that you can see the farmers are proud, the employees are proud, everyone is proud working for that company, owning that company, be connected to that company. And that also, they were actually, and I think there still are, in the top 10 where young people wants to work in Sweden when they graduate. They want to work for that company. So it's, it's a really strong brand strategy, but also execution. And I think this is where some people get lost. Like they have problem doing both a good brand strategy and a good brand identity and good brand communication. So it needs to be all the way to build a strong brand.
That's a great story. And we have some feedback from Michael. So Michael just wanted to chip in. So he said, the numbers take care of themselves when story truly hits the customer at an emotional level. Story and purpose sells. Go farmers. Thanks,
Yeah.
Michael.
Thanks, Mike. You know what? I think he have a really good point here, because people see building brands a little bit different. But for me, everything is about people. And it's about connecting with people on this emotional level, like you talked about. And I think to be able to do that, you need to stand for something, and you need to lean into your own story, your origin story, why you exist, and also like to take stand for something. Because otherwise, if you just start to adjusting to people, you will lose your whole identity. And this, you can compare this to people. Like if you are single and you want to meet someone, you want to make sure that you know who you are and that you actually like yourself, and you know who you want to meet before you go out there trying to meet someone. Otherwise, you will just try to adjust to a different kind of people and you will be miserable. So it's kind of the same way with brands. Like, know yourself before you start to communicate.
Thanks for the relationship advice, Anneli. Now I know what to do with my relationships too.
Start with
Okay,
yourself.
so we have
Yeah.
some great. Yes. No, it's very good advice. So now we have, let's say hi to some of the people who joined us as well. So we have Nikki Lim, who is in social media, helps brands with social media. So Nikki says he loves Puma now, thanks to Rizal. And Sinchi has added another amazing brand from Sweden.
Yeah.
So Sweden has some amazing brands. Spotify, which I love as well, is also one of them, LOL.
Yeah.
And Venus, thanks for joining us. Venus says he loves Davidoff as well, their coffee. So thanks, Venus. Thanks for sharing. So, Anneli, so we'll go on. We have about 3 or 4 questions, and they can be a bit deep. So brace yourself. And
Okay.
yeah, thanks for all your questions. So the first question comes from Nikki Lim. So Nikki Lim asks, is there an assessment tool, checklist for brands to check their brand health? Oh, sounds like therapy here. Is there a therapy list to check on the health of a brand?
Yeah, it is. And I think you can do it on different levels. I call it brand audit, which is kind of the check-in, the brand health check-in. And what you want to check in on is the goals. Of course, like, are you reaching the goals? Because you want to measure your goals so you really know. Things you can measure is like brand awareness, how many people in your audience know about, or in your target group knows about the brand, brand loyalty. There's a lot of different things you can measure, and you need to set that goal from the beginning. That's one thing. What I also often do in a brand audit, that is what I did with this company as well, that I told about, is like, you need to check in and see if everything you do is on brand, like we call it, like on brand strategy. Because when you have the brand strategy, is the foundation for everything. But if you then start doing things that are off brand, you will not have a good result. So the check-in is kind of make sure that everything we do, it could be from like, look at all the posts on Instagram, for example. Like, is this really everything we say and do? Is that on brand strategy? Or did we just make up other things? Are we really giving value to the right people? Do we talk to the right people? So I have a checklist of things. I go through this in my course, and that's things that I think it's important to do maybe like 2 to 4 times a year to make sure that everything you do is on brand. And if you work for a really big company, you have like people doing this, but for a small company, you need to do it yourself.
Yes, that's good sharing, Anneli. I remember my times working in advertising agencies where we'd have the brand report or brand audit, like you said, and quarterly. And one of the things we look at is brand recall. Do the customers or the consumers recall the brand for the right things?
Yeah,
so
exactly.
like you said, they can be doing the wrong things, and people associate the brand with the wrong things.
Yeah.
So that's, Nikki, I hope that answered your question. There are a number of ways. It's important to do some tests.
And I think that and I think you can do it by doing surveys, for example. That could be very expensive. It could also be something you can do on your own. You can use tools like SurveyMonkey, for example, which is free. You can ask questions. There's a lot of different tools out there that you can use. So that's one way of doing it. But I kind of also like doing audits and just put everything on a table, like you've been doing the last month or something, 6 months maybe. Just put everything on the table, even if it's digital, print it, and then look at things. And it's like, is this really our brand or not? That's a very easy way of doing it, but kind of look at all the touch points you have.
That's a good way to do it, because with digital, it's sometimes good to look at things from the bird's eye view to see, is this what we stand for? Is this what we want to be? And that's a good answer, Anneli. And Nikki says thank you. So Nikki says thank you for answering the question. So for all of you who are here live with us, thank you so much for being here with us. If you have any questions, since we have Anneli here, it's very hard to get Anneli here. She's all the way from Sweden. And so if you have any questions, please comment below. And we'd love to help you or answer your questions when it comes to brand strategy. So let's move on to the next question. So we have Vines here, who is from a consulting background. So he says, Anneli, how to ensure all the products that you have in your company resembles your vision and mission? It could be quite a challenge when it comes to a company's growth or pivot to new products or product segments. Basically, he's asking, how do you keep all the products aligned with the vision and mission? So I'm going to remove your question, Venus. It's a very huge question, so it sort of blocks Anneli's face a bit. But thanks for your question, Venus.
Oh, okay. I think, and this is why it's so important. In a way, this question is so good because it's kind of answered itself a little bit. And it's also answered, when do we need to start with brand strategy and why is it important? Because this is the reason why it's important. If you don't know what the company really stand for and what you want to take stand for and what you want to change in the world, how can you then know what kind of products you want to develop, or even like brands you want to have? So I think that it's really important that everything is aligned with the corporate brand, like with the company brand. So even if you have sub brands for different products, everything needs to be aligned around the corporate brand, and you need to have those values, why you exist, what you stand for, guidelines like mission statement. It can be like a manifesto, and then you just go back to your checklist. So like, for example, the company I worked for, if they sell cereals and they want to be the Swedish food and sustainability. And then they have to choose, are we going to buy Swedish apples or apples from China? And the apples from China will be cheaper, but they will not align with what they want to stand for. So they take the other decision instead and choose the apples from Sweden. And I think that is kind of the same thing when you look at products. You need to know that everything is aligned with your vision, mission, values. So that's why it's so important to have a brand strategy. Otherwise, you don't have anything to lean into. It's like the guideline, the lighthouse that you can follow.
That's great, Anneli. And it's like that alignment. Even apples that you order will shape the brand. So I think let me go deeper into Vinay's question for a bit. What if the brand made a mistake? They bought apples from China, or they made the wrong decision that is not on brand. What does a brand do then?
A brand, this is one of the reasons why it's so important to have a brand. And when I talk about have a brand, I talk about how their group of people actually perceive them. Because if they trust them, building a brand is all about creating awareness, like, and trust. And if people really trust you, then you can also sometimes be totally forgiven, and it's okay to make mistakes sometimes. Because we're just human. We all do mistakes, and sometimes people take really crappy decisions, and because they don't know better. It's not that they want to harm anyone. It's just maybe the communication in the company wasn't the best, or so sometimes it's just humans taking the wrong decisions. And the best you can do is just being super transparent with your audience and tell the truth, because the truth are going to, people will find out things anyway. So it's better to just tell the truth and tell how you're going to take care of it, and have a lot of empathy. Apologize and tell people how you're going to solve it. So I think that is really important. And just realize that we're just humans. Everyone is doing mistakes sometimes. And a lot of people ask me but what if we're not perfect? Can we talk about our work with sustainability, or, how we take responsibility? Can we do that without having everything in place? I'm sure, of course you can, if you're just being honest. So if you tell the authentic story and be really honest and real, people like that, because people don't like perfect. People like companies who really try their best. And I think that trust is something you need to have, because that is something that could make the difference between making a mistake and be forgiven, or making a mistake and people will hate you forever. So one of the most important thing with even having a brand is that you actually build trust.
That's amazing, Anneli, and I really love your answer. It goes to one of my not so favorite words that gets bounced around, but people say be authentic. It's quite being bounced around, but what you said is truly being authentic. So I love it when brands own up to their mistakes. They say we did this and it's wrong. We are going to not do this in the future. So people love it when brands be authentic, when they share what they're going through, because at the end of the day, whether it's the mega brand, a huge brand, or just a small business, it's run by humans, and we have to be transparent, call it out, and also be authentic to our audience. So Michael also resonates with you, Anneli. So Michael says that the lighthouse you can follow, love it. So thanks, Michael, for your feedback as well.
I live next to the ocean, so it's easy for me to talk about lighthouses.
Yes, I see that you live next to, and Sweden has a lot of lakes and oceans, so it's very it really resonates with the culture there. And Vines adds a statement on brand. He says brand is building trust, and he says thanks for that, Anneli. So thanks for your question as well, Venus. It really sparked a good conversation. Thanks so much, and I hope that answers your question as well. And we move on to the last question, and I think you already answered this, but if you have a different take on this, Anneli. So Ragavan, who is in engineering and recently started a new company, he said, how much does a logo or a caption of a product or service play a role in brand strategy? And does it go hand in hand with brand strategy?
Okay, I think, Ragavan, is your question like how much a logo and the visual part of it is included in the brand strategy? Is that a question?
Yeah, I think so, yes. How much of
Okay. Because I'm not a graphic designer, so a lot of people, when they do brand strategy, they kind of include brand strategy and brand identity design. And when I say brand identity design, I mean how everything looks in all touch points, and the touch point is like the contact with the audience. So it could be everything from the logo to the whole system the logo lives in. So it's like clothes, how things looks, everything you can imagine that you put your logo on, your brand on. So that's the brand identity system. And the logo is a part of that, of course. But I always start without any visuals at all. So when I do brand strategy, I don't do visuals. I don't do any brand identity, don't do any logo. And I don't start with that because I think it's very strange to start with something if you don't know, if you don't have anything to base it on, because otherwise you're just guessing and you're doing something that looks pretty. I don't like when design just look pretty. I want it to be good for the business. So I start with the brand strategy, the report, the summary, which I call roadmap from the brand strategy, which is the plan. That will be the brief, the foundation for the next project, which often could be brand identity design. So the logo and how everything looks, also messaging could be part of that, how we actually talk about the brand and how we want to positioning it. So we do the positioning in brand strategy, but actually exactly what to say will be after brand strategy. So brand identity design, messaging, marketing, communication, everything comes after you do brand strategy. So brand strategy is like the foundation for everything. It's the starting point. And that's the first delivery you have to a client. And then you base everything you do on that. Then you actually know what you're doing when you start designing. You know who you design for, who you want to connect to, because everything is about people again. So you want to connect with people. And if you know who they are, and if you know what you stand for as a company, your personality, then you start to realize how you will look like. Otherwise, you just have to guess. So I hope that answered the question.
That's great, Anneli. That's great. That's great. So you have to start with knowing yourself and identify your mission, your vision, your purpose before you start wearing clothes, in a way, before you start going out there and speaking. And identify who you are, and then only once you know who you are, then you will go out there and craft a brand, visuals, etc. So that's a great analogy, and also a great way, great answer to this, right? So you don't start creating logos or creating visuals. You start by talking to the brand owner, identifying and forming an identity before you go out to do visuals. So thanks for that question, Ragavan, and thanks for your very good answer as well, Anneli. So if you have any questions when it comes to brand strategy, for the rest of you that are watching, you can reach out to Anneli, connect with her on LinkedIn. And today having Anneli as well, because she has just launched a new course called Brand Strategy Fundamentals. So can you share about Brand Strategy Fundamentals, Anneli?
Yeah, this is a course that I do together with the Futur. And the Futur is an education platform online. So it's the Futur without an E in the end. And they basically have a bunch of great courses and a lot of free things as well. And they just teach the world how to make a living on what you love to do. And Chris Dose, who's the founder, his big mission is to teach 1 billion people. So, and I'm part of that team at the Future. And this is my first course I actually do for them. I've been doing 4 workshops before that we sold out this winter. So we saw that we had a big interest for this. So now we're doing the course. So it's a pre-recorded course for people who just starting out with brand strategy, who wants to know more, like the introduction to brand strategy. So I talk about the facilitation that we talked about, like how do you actually ask the right questions to figure everything out that we talked about today. And also like the process of step by step in what order to do it. So you have this really great foundation then and the plan and how you understand the people you want to reach out to, like your ideal customers, like how you really can understand them by doing research in different ways and how you want to position your company. So everything that is kind of included in an introduction to how I do it. And and then we actually have live workshops, and I'm super excited about this because this is a total new way, in a way, to do it. So the pre-recorded course is something that you can do on your own at home with a workbook. But then we have live workshops with me. And then we put really the learning into practice. So it's not just, reading, learning about it. It's actually try it out in real life together with other people. So I will bring a real client brief to the workshop and people will solve it. And I will give my feedback and we will discuss how you can do it even better. So it's kind of the most safe way to get started and practice it. So this is what I do. So it's 2 parts. It's a pre-recorded product and it's a live workshop. And it's on pre-sale right now on the Future. So I think you have the link here.
Yes, the link is thefuture.com. And that's amazing, Anneli. So it's a pre-recorded course plus live workshops where you can actually work with Anneli on a case study and actually find out how she works and how she built brands. So that's amazing. And I have to shout out the Future as well. It's an amazing community where you can learn a lot of things about business, about creativity. So check out thefuture.com. Anneli is an ambassador there, a lot of good content on their YouTube, Instagram, and a lot of courses, and be part of the community as well. And you can actually reach Anneli there.
Can I add something around that I think is so important that I didn't mention? We have this paid membership community called the Futur Pro group. And now it's about 580 people, I think. And that's like creatives, but it's also creative thinkers. So it's people who want to grow their company and build their brands, and that joins. And I'm one of the people who have, I do special things in there right now with like learning paths for brand strategy and a lot of exciting things. So we actually just help people how to grow their business, and Chris Doe's group. And I think that community is amazing because we can really see how people develop their companies being part of this community. So the Future gives away a lot of content on YouTube, and we're on Clubhouse and other things, but the community is really something special. So I just want to do a shout out for that because it's close to my heart, and I've been in the group myself for 2 years, and now I'm also teaching in the group.
That's amazing, Anneli. And I was part of the group myself, and I can't wait to come back. It's an amazing group. I love all the interactivity in there. I remember when Anneli used to host the networking events, and we used to have office hours where you will get to sort of mingle with the rest of the group and answer questions and see how you grow with each other's businesses. So it's very amazing part of a group to be part of. So how you can do that is you go to thefuture.com. There's another section called the Pro Group. Check out more about it, and it's an amazing group to be part of. So thanks, Anneli, for being here. Thanks so much for sharing with us, and all the best for your course. And Raghavan says, thanks, nice, Anneli, thanks. So I hope that answered your question as well, Raghavan. And thanks so much, Anneli, for being here. And thanks for sharing all your wisdom and your knowledge. And thanks so much for sharing all, even answering the questions here live. It's not easy. And thanks for putting out all the wisdom here on brand strategy.
Yeah, thank you so much. Thank you so much. Bye, guys.
Okay, thanks, Anneli. And we will say bye to everyone here. Thanks all for taking the time to come out here with us live. And if you're watching this on replay as well, do check out all the things that we mentioned. So thank you, everyone. And we'll say goodbye for now. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.